5 things to know for Tokyo 2020. My name is Kenneth Hanscom, and each week I'll bring you the latest news, stories, and tips about how you can plan and know what's going on the road to next summer's event. This week, as I've talked with folks, a lot of things I've heard is around excitement and the anticipation about the possibility of international fans attending. And I think as we go through the next few weeks, we'll only see that anticipation and that excitement build. Now let's get on to number 1. The biggest news making headlines this week is that the Court of Arbitration reduced the ban for Russia to 2 years. But what that still means is that neither the Russia team, the Russia flag, can be at the next 2 Olympics, which are Tokyo 2020 next year, as well as Beijing 2022. Now there is a little bit of nuance there, and specifically what it means is Russian athletes can still participate, but they will likely be from a neutral team. In addition, they may be able to have the word Russia on their uniform. So it's a big news, and there's been a lot of different commentary on that. I've linked a couple of those in the comments below in case you want to read about it, but we're likely to see the exact same thing that we saw, such as a neutral athletes from Russia or a very similar type of recognition of these athletes from Russia that will not be competing specifically underneath the Russian flag. Now let's move on to number 2. Second up is that a recent study shows that Olympic fans are more likely to stay in an Airbnb than just your average person who does a lot of travel. I find it interesting for a couple of reasons. One, the good news is Airbnb is now a sponsor at the top level with the Olympic movement. But the second thing is, I think traditionally, hotels and accommodations are one of the most challenging aspects for fans that are planning. Oftentimes, hotels and packages are very high priced out of a lot of travelers' budgets. And by finding Airbnbs or private accommodations, it has been ways that a lot of Olympic fans have tried to manage their budget. So I'm sure we're going to hear more on that specifically as we go to Tokyo next year, to Beijing, to Paris, and beyond, to Milan and LA. Let's move on to number 3. Another week and more tickets. More tickets this week were released with CoSport USA on their website, including 2, I would say, fairly high demand events. The first one was a swimming finals, SWM 10, and the other was a gymnastics event, GAR 04. So what we continue to see as these refunds and these requests are being processed, we do see small amounts of tickets coming out into inventory. In some cases, these are very popular, high demand, high price types of events that are out there. So if you're looking for those, stay on the look, check every so often. I know right now that there are 2 closing ceremony tickets on CoSport. I checked right before I filmed the video. So if that's something that you're looking for, that's something that's out there. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4. On the sponsor front, Toyota's done a couple of great things in the past couple of weeks. First, they reaffirmed their support for several national organizations in support of Team USA, the Olympics, and the Paralympics. And the other thing that they've done is today they just released a holiday video featuring Olympic and Paralympic athletes and hopefuls for Tokyo 2020 and beyond. And in addition to that, there's a really great kind of inspiring message part of that, and they provide a great behind the scenes look in terms of how all of that came together. So if you're interested in that, I posted a link below. Go ahead and check that out. Now let's move on to number 5. I love hospitality houses, and I know a lot of you love them too, because I get an awful lot of questions about them. Ken, what is happening next year with hospitality houses? Are they going to be open? And for the most part, we don't know yet. Of the people I've talked to, there has been some conversations about, yes, we think we're going to be able to operate, but they're being cautiously optimistic and will probably not announce until later in Q1 or early Q2 about their plans, because they also want to be very conscious about what's happening with the virus and what fans and whatever else is allowed for Tokyo 2020. The other thing to note is that the Holland Heineken House is the only one that has officially said that they have been canceled. Thus far, there's been no other information that's necessarily come out, but look for that to come out in the coming weeks and months, and I'll be sure to cover it as they develop. That's it for this week on 5 Things to Know for Tokyo 2020. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week.